Hello and welcome to Walk the Talk Show with yours truly, Waylon Lewis, coming to you live from my house, Hotel Elephant, in Boulder, Colorado. And today I get to share some big news, which in a way is no longer news, but the Koch brothers, K-O-C-H, every liberal's favorite fraternal pair, are now. The news last week was that they're funding their political interest to the tune of something like close to $900 million, almost $1 billion, which is about 20 or 30% more than the Republican Party in toto, and about 30 or 35 or 40% more than the Democratic Party. So good news, liberals, we finally officially have our third party in U.S. politics. It's more powerful than either of the existing two parties, and it's the Koch brothers. So be careful what you wish for. But that's not news. That was news last week. The interesting thing that came up was some good friends of mine, they've been on the show, the Alpine Institute, just had a fundraiser thrown for them by the Koch brothers in New York. I was invited from my friend who runs the place, and it's a great organization. Alpine Institute is about celebrating, ironically, Americans' wilderness. The Koch brothers are known for being some of the worst environmental offenders, least interested in environmental protection of anyone, and they fund, tons of businesses and endeavors, political and otherwise, that are anti-environment. Environment isn't just for tree huggers, it affects all of our health and well-being. We all have to drink the water and etc. So that brought up a really interesting point. Number one, the Alpine Institute was okay with that fundraiser, and number two, they were relatively not transparent about it, quite secretive. I don't believe anyone's reported that they were throwing a fundraiser. I don't have a big problem with it. I think, like Alpine Institute, it's great that they're getting support and that they can mix and talk with people who maybe politically are different than many of their members. That said, I think my concern with that fundraiser was that no real conversation like that would happen. Maybe people would gossip about it at the party or before or after, but would the Koch brothers be up for and genuinely engaged in environmental dialogue about protecting our wildernesses, our beautiful places, America the Beautiful? I doubt it. And when I asked about that, I said I would be happy to go to the party under those conditions. I had no reply. So I think that's my answer. So that brings up the important question of, is it important where our money comes from? If you're a nonprofit, is it important to vet where the money is coming from, or do you just take it and use it for good causes? But this isn't just a question for nonprofits. All of us work for a living, or at least most of us. I certainly do. And is it important where your money comes from? Is it blood money? If it's, if Elephant is supported by ads from, say, Amazon or Walmart, are we just helping increase consumption, which kind of goes against our ethic? Is it okay to have a different editorial ethic if we can criticize the advertisers who are supporting us? That's good, fair journalism. It's independent. But is it somehow a little bit two-faced to be taking bad money? Or is it great to say, okay, well, here's a SUV ad, or here's a Walmart or Amazon ad, but we can criticize it with our articles, and our readers are adults and they can decide what they want to do. I honestly don't know how I feel, but there's a lot of great examples. Alex Bogusky, the most famous ad man in the US in the 2000-2010, he was named #1 madman, and he made tons of money promoting all kinds of things that are, in my point of view, not great, like fast food in a nation beset by obesity and diabetes crisis, even with children. On the other hand, he did great things, like anti-smoking crusades. So then he takes his tons of money and he, gives back. And I'm using him as an example because he's a wide open, kind of transparent kind of guy, and I know him. So it's not talking behind anyone's back. But to me, that's kind of an old-fashioned model of capitalism, where you do work that maybe isn't super ethical. Some of it is, most of it isn't. You make tons of money, and then you give like 2% back in a super public way, and you get a lot of credit for that. I don't particularly admire that, though I admire Alex in terms of what he's achieved. I would prefer that we walk our talk along the way. So is it possible to people, planet, profit, triple bottom line, make tons of money, change the world for the better, leave it better than you found it, which should be a fundamental ethic for any of us who are alive. Leave things better than we found it, and have fun doing so. If you can do all three of those things, not just two of the three or one of the three, then I think you got an amazing life going on. So can you make a living, right livelihood, doing something good for the planet, or good for other people, or good for oneself in a meaningful way, and have a good time doing so? If you can't have a good time doing so, it becomes martyrdom. If you can't make money, it's really not harmonious, which is fundamental to right livelihood. It actually has to work. It has to make sense. Your living has to make your life sustainable. And there's lots of other examples. My colleague Miranda Pleasant, we had a very honest and open interview on Elephant. She has a magazine promoting all kinds of wonderful things, but at the same time, as far as I know, and I could be correct, 99% of magazines are made in China, or wherever, shipped across, distributed all over, super huge carbon footprint, not on eco paper. I don't think Yoga Journal is on eco paper either. Is that kind of ethical failing? In my view, it would be, unless it is on eco paper, printed it in the US on a well-managed tree farm, which is how I'm printing my book. It's why I killed Elephant Magazine and turned it into elephantjournal.com. And we are engaging in meaningful nonprofit support to offset some of our impact, which is still significant, and we want to do more. No one's perfect. Don't make perfect the enemy of the good. So there's a lot of questions in here. I had one other example, couple others. So recently I interviewed one of my idols, Kim, the founder of New Belgium, and they're probably the leading brewery, craft brewery in the US who's known for environmental ethos. They give bikes to 3-year employees, they are employee run, they wind power, all kinds of kind of progressive, cool ways that they manage their brewery. But I asked her, I said, where's Mothership Wit, this organic beer? It was the only organic beer they had back in the day, and it's gone. And I said, where is it? Are you thinking of doing more organic again? And Kim, to her credit, very frankly said, and you can watch the video on elephantjournal.com, or you can subscribe to Walk the Talk Show on SoundCloud, or find us youtube.com/Waylon H. Lewis and subscribe and see that video. To her credit, very frankly, she said, we're not looking to do any organic beer. It's not a priority for us because customers don't want it. Number one, as an entrepreneur, I would say, who cares what they want? As Steve Jobs and Henry Ford, many people, great entrepreneurs, have said, they don't design it for what people think they want. They design it for what the world needs, or they're looking ahead. So Henry Ford said, if I had asked my customers what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. Steve Jobs said, I didn't design anything for the masses. I designed it for myself and my friends and my family, people I cared about and knew. And that makes it a kind of forward-looking product. So nothing should be more important to taste in beer than getting pesticides out. When you have farmers, growing the barley or the hops, whatever's going into the beer, and they have to wear white hazmat plastic suits to stay away from the poison they're spraying on everything, that's probably not benefiting the taste. Certainly not benefiting the health of farmers who have 500% higher cancer rates in the US, or the health of our planet. Pesticides obviously go into the watershed and affect all of us. Cancer rates have gone like that or like that, depending which angle you're looking at. So I think that's probably enough for today. But basically, again, coming back to the idea of right livelihood is hopefully not just an idea. We need to find a way, even if we're not looking to get rich, just to have a sustainable living that we can feel good about, that's good for the world, good for other people, good for our planet, and that we can have a good time doing so. If we're an employee or a independent contractor or a boss as equally important. We need to feel good about it. And the great thing for bosses, people like me who maybe have employees or independent contractors working with us, is, as the Petit Prince quote said, I think, Antoine Saint-Exupéry, he said, if you want to have a great sailing crew, you don't teach them how to sail, you teach them to love the sea. And then everything follows from that. Obviously, you can train them and teach them, but if they have that love for the sea, they'll figure it out. If a storm happens, they'll know how to deal with it. They'll be independent thinkers. You'll have higher retention with your staff. If people are enjoying what they do, they'll think for themselves and not just be kind of mindless automatons. And that will engender customer loyalty and profits. So, is there a better way? I think we have the poster up here. There better be, because the planet needs it. And the good news is I think we can make money and have a good time creating a better world. So thank you so much. Until next time, new video every week. Subscribe.